Hey y'all! I'm down at one of my work tables in the studio today, finishing off a tiny little selvedge tapestry. This was a tapestry that is for my tapestry diary, and I was experimenting with this yarn that I got it is Mountain Meadows wool, which is a mill in Wyoming, I believe. And it's sold by Sarah Resnick at Gist Yarn and Fibers online, GIST. And she sent me some to try out, and so I have been playing with it, and I really like the differences in the dyeing. If you like a really solidly dyed yarn, this probably isn't the yarn for you, but I've enjoyed playing with it. I have to do more experimentation, but that's what is in this piece when you see the close-up of it. The piece was actually going to say the word sky, because this particular yarn reminded me of like the New Mexico sky. But once I got into it, of course, I got lazy, and weaving the tiny little KY didn't happen. So here you can see a little more what I'm talking about. The yarn is really not dyed evenly at all. This is immersion dyed yarn, but the colors are really splotchy, which can be really fun for tapestry weaving. But if you like total control of your colors, this probably isn't the yarn for you. You can even see in the skein how areas are darker and lighter. This yarn is a lot like Harrisville Highland in my experience here, so I've been enjoying working with it. So if you've taken that fringeless class online with me and Sarah Sweat, you know that we want to weave up above the top of these loops here to make sure they get hidden. And I have, of course, run out of yarn just short of where I need to be, so I'm going to splice in a new piece just to finish off my last few picks. And I have this loom set up. This is a Merrick's loom, but it's set up without the shedding device. For whatever reason, I just didn't bother to put on the shedding device and heddles for something so small. Sometimes just picking the warp is works just fine. All right. I'm guessing I need maybe 3 more picks. I'm going to get that selvage in there nicely. I could also have put this on a bobbin. I like to use a bobbin for some small pieces. This is one of my favorites. Okay, so you can still see the top of those loops, so I'm going to keep going until they disappear. I am about there. I think that's probably enough. I can just barely see the tops, and I'm going to do the top yarn back through to hold it all in place. So I take a tapestry needle, and actually just realized after I cut that off, I like to go from right to left. I'm very right-handed, so this will be a good challenge to get the yarn through each of these loops. So this loop is a little lower than the others, and because it's the edge, when I take this off the loom, I can actually adjust that loop. All right, so I'm going to take the shed sticks out there at the top. One thing that's helpful is to kind of work some of that twist. Actually taking the twist out. It's twisted in the weaving, and I'm untwisting it when I do this. Pulling that through. Got some shed sticks here I'm going to take out at the top. Sometimes you can't get, a lot of times I can't get all of the twists down in. It actually doesn't matter. This is an example where that twist is not going to cooperate. So I keep doing this all the way across. I'm going to actually tighten this up a little bit. Once I took those shed sticks out, it really got too loose to be comfortable. See, all the twist came out of that one without a problem. I just keep going all the way across, just like this. So I secured my loops all the way across the top with this yarn. When I get it off the loom, I'll actually bury this tail down in. The loops at the bottom are already secured, and you don't have to do anything with that when it comes off the loom. All right, let's unleash this baby from the loom and see what she looks like. I like to reuse the fly line backing that I'm using for the supplemental warp. So I will be wrapping it onto some bobbins. And if I can find bobbins to do that, that would be tremendous. So here's a bobbin that already has some fly line backing on it, and we'll just tie on the rest of it. I use a lot of blue tape when I'm managing the fly line backing because it likes to run all over the place. I'm gonna undo some tension. I must have put a little knot in here. I'm not as patient as Sarah was in the course about some of the knots. Sometimes I just cut them. That one I got out though. Okay. Looks like we're going to go back to this knot. So if you didn't get all the twist out when you were putting that last line in, this is the point where you'll notice that, because you'll have a lot of twist in your fly line backing or whatever supplemental warp you took off. It doesn't really affect the piece. It just means that it's a little harder to get your supplemental warp off. Ah, pulled the wrong direction. This is an excessively long piece of fly line backing. I don't usually have pieces this long, so bear with me. Pull it off, and then we will so what I do so I can use this again is I'll take this bobbin where I'm keeping the fly line backing and do a little surgeon's knot to tie these together so that it's all ready for the next warp I put on. That double knot helps hold it nice and firmly, and then you just can wind that all the way on. However, I will wind that later, and we'll finish this. We've got the little piece off the loom. This is another tapestry diary piece, and I was playing with a new yarn, which I like. little bit soft for tapestry, but no more so than Harrisville Highland. So if you want a yarn that is not even on purpose, I think they dye it like this on purpose, this Mountain Meadows yarn is really cool. Anyway, I didn't really make this video to put in a plug for Mountain Meadows. I just was playing with it today and wanted to show you what it was I was weaving. Fringeless for selvage tapestry on one of my Merrick's pipe looms. And if you're interested in the for selvage method, Sarah Sweat taught a class in my online school called Fringeless for Selvage Tapestry, for Selvage Warping with Sarah Sweat. Check it out. She's awesome, and a lot of her tips about weaving, just beyond doing the for selvage warping technique, are really worth watching. So it's a lot of fun. Thanks for watching today, and maybe I'll show you again what I'm weaving someday soon. Bye.